Good evening, everyone. Uh, Virgo, you stopped expecting it. Yes, you stopped expecting it. That's what made it safe to stop hoping. When expectation died, hope could die with it. And when hope died, the wound could finally scab over. Not heal, scabs aren't healing, they're just protection while healing happens underneath. But at least scab meant you weren't bleeding actively anymore. You told yourself it didn't matter, that you didn't need to hear it, that you'd made peace with never knowing for certain, that you were fine with the ambiguity, the silence, the question that never got answered. And maybe you even believed yourself, convinced yourself you genuinely moved past the need to hear those specific words from that specific person about that specific thing. But you didn't move past it. You buried it, pushed it down, covered it with layers of, I'm over it and it doesn't matter anymore and I don't even think about them. And now, when you finally stopped listening for it, when you finally stopped analyzing every message for subtext, when you finally stopped hoping that today might be the day they say what you've been needing to hear, it's coming. The confession, the truth. The words you thought you'd never receive because too much time passed, because they moved on, because they're too proud, because they don't care enough, because 1,000 reasons you built into Fortress protecting you from continued disappointment. Here's what the confession you thought you'd never have actually is. It's not casual revelation, not, oh, by the way, I should probably mention, not throwaway comment, not easy admission. It's hard confession, the kind that requires courage, the kind they've been avoiding because avoiding was easier than being vulnerable, the kind that costs them something to say, costs pride, costs protection, costs the safety of you not knowing for certain. Could be confession of feelings they've been hiding. I was in love with you. I am in love with you. I've never stopped thinking about you. You weren't just casual to me, even though I pretended you were. Words they've rehearsed, probably for months, maybe years. Words they've typed and deleted 17 times. Words they've said out loud to empty room to practice. Words they swore they'd never actually say but can't keep holding anymore. And hearing those words after you stopped believing you'd hear them is going to create emotional whiplash. Relief and anger simultaneously. Finally, and why did you wait so long, occupying same space in your chest? Could be confession of mistake. I fucked up. I shouldn't have left. I should have fought for you. I was wrong about how I handled that. I let fear make decisions that hurt both of God, us. Accountability they've been avoiding, admission that what happened wasn't your fault, that you weren't crazy for feeling hurt, that their choices created damage they can finally see and name. And hearing that after you've spent months or years questioning whether you were overreacting, whether you were too sensitive, whether you should have been more understanding is going to crack something open. Vindication mixed with grief. I was right mixed with but I wish I'd been wrong so none of this had to hurt. Could be confession of truth they've been protecting you from. There was someone else. I was dealing with thing I didn't tell you about. The reason I behavior was because actual reason, not the reason I gave you. Information that reframes everything, that makes their behavior make senses in ways it didn't make sense when you only had partial picture. That answers questions you've been carrying like stones. And hearing truth, even painful truth, after living with confusion is complicated relief. Oh, that's why I mixed with, but I wish you'd trusted me with truth then instead of making me guess. Could be confession of regret. I think about how things could have been different. I wonder what would have happened if I'd chosen differently. Losing you is my biggest regret. I see now what I couldn't see then. Regret that doesn't necessarily come with request, doesn't necessarily mean they want you back, just means they're acknowledging that what happened mattered, that you mattered. That loss was real, not just, oh well, moving on. And hearing that regret after you convinced yourself they were fine, that you were forgettable, that they suffered nothing from ending or distance, is going to hurt in an unexpected way. Hurts because it means they could have said something sooner, could have fought, could have been honest, but chose not to. And that choice, that active choice to stay silent while you suffered, creates fresh anger even while regret provides old validation. Why confession is coming now, after all this time? Because they hit breaking point. Tolerance for carrying secret reached limit. Weight of unspoken truth became heavier than risk of speaking it. Something shifted in them, maybe therapy, maybe loss of someone else that made them realize what they lost in you. Maybe hitting milestone birthday, anniversary, new year that prompted evaluation of regrets. Maybe just time accumulating until silence became more painful than vulnerability. Whatever the catalyst, internal pressure exceeded external resistance. And when that happens, confession becomes inevitable. Because window is closing. They feel it. They're moving away. You're moving on. Someone new is entering picture. Life is creating distance that makes confession now feel like last chance. And last chance creates urgency. If I don't say this now, I never will. And never will means living rest of life, knowing I was too much of coward to be honest. That urgency overrides fear, makes confession feel more necessary than protection, because they're ready for consequences, finally. They've avoided confession, partly because confession requires being ready for response, for your anger, for your rejection, for your indifference, for whatever your response might be. But now they're ready, or ready enough, ready to hear that you've moved on, ready to accept that confession might be too late, ready to risk making things worse in exchange for finally being honest. That readiness is what allows confession to surface, not because they're suddenly braver, because they're finally willing to face consequences of honesty instead of continuing to face consequences of silence, because they realized silence was costing them. Maybe in new relationship where they can't be fully present because part of them is still tangled with you. Maybe in therapy where pattern became obvious. Maybe in their own mirror where they couldn't recognize person they'd become. Silence has price, and they've been paying it, and they've finally decided that truth, even with its own price, costs less than continued dishonesty. What you're probably feeling right now, knowing confession is approaching. Disbelief. No, that's not happening. I've made peace with never knowing. I don't need to revisit this. Disbelief is protection. Is your system saying, we survived not knowing. We don't have capacity for knowing now. Keep expectations low to prevent disappointment. But disbelief doesn't prevent truth, just delays your preparation for it. Anxiety. What if I don't respond right? What if hearing it makes everything worse? What if I'm not ready? What if they say it and I realize I do still care when I've been telling myself I don't? Anxiety about response is normal, about being vulnerable again after building walls, about not having control over how hearing confession affects you. That anxiety is valid and also not reason to avoid hearing. You can be anxious and listen, can be unprepared and respond authentically. Anger preemptively rising. How dare they wait this long? Where was this honesty when I needed it? Why do they get to decide timing? Why should I even listen? That anger is protective, is trying to keep you from being hurt again, is reminding you that silence cost you, that they could have spoken sooner, that timing is theirs, not yours. Anger is valid, is data, but don't let anger decide before confession even arrives. Let anger exist alongside willingness to hear. Both can be true. Hope trying to resurrect itself, despite everything, despite time past, despite protection you built. Hope whispering, maybe this means something. Maybe this changes things. Maybe this is beginning not just closure. And you're trying to kill that hope before it fully forms, because hope hurt you before. Hope kept you waiting when you should have been moving on. Hope made you interpret silence as not yet instead of as no. But hope isn't enemy. Hope is just honesty about what you want. You can let hope exist without letting hope make decisions. Can hope while simultaneously protecting yourself. What you should do when confession arrives. Receive it fully before responding. Don't interrupt with, why are you telling me this now? Don't cut them off with, I don't care anymore. Don't defend before they've even finished. Let them say, complete thing, complete confession, complete truth, complete vulnerability. You can respond after. But responding to partial confession means responding to incomplete picture. And receiving doesn't mean accepting, doesn't mean forgiving, doesn't mean agreeing, just means hearing, letting words land before deciding what they mean. Feel what you feel without censoring. If you cry, cry. If you're angry, be angry. If you're relieved, be relieved. If you're nothing, be nothing. Don't perform reaction you think you should have. Don't pretend indifference you don't feel. Don't fake forgiveness you haven't reached. Your authentic emotional response is valid, whatever it is. Messy, complicated, contradictory, all valid. Confession, this significant, deserves authentic response, not performed one. Ask questions if you need clarity. Why now? What changed? What are you hoping for by telling me this? What do you need from me? Questions aren't attack, aren't making them prove worth of confession, are just gathering information you need to respond wisely instead of just reactively. Clarity serves you, serves both of you. Don't skip it because you're afraid of seeming too interested or not interested enough. Don't respond immediately about what confession means going forward. I need time to process this. I need to sit with this before I know how I feel about what it means. You don't owe immediate decision about whether confession changes anything, whether it creates opening for reconciliation, whether it provides closure and finality. Take time, days if needed, week, however long you need to separate initial emotional reaction from actual decision about what you want, and be honest about what you want eventually after processing. When you've sorted through feelings and arrived at some clarity, if confession makes you want to try again, say that. If it provides closure but doesn't change your decision to be done, say that. If you're uncertain and need more conversation, say that. Whatever your truth is after processing, communicate that. Not what you think they want to hear, not what's safest, your truth. What happens after confession? The multiple possible paths. Path one, confession provides closure without changing outcome. You needed to hear it. Needed to know you weren't crazy. Needed validation. Needed truth. But hearing it doesn't change fact that you've moved on, that too much time passed, that damage was too extensive, that you're different people now, that what you needed then isn't what you need now. Confession allows you to release fully, to stop carrying question, to grieve what could have been if they'd been honest sooner, to move forward lighter. That's valid path. Closure is valuable even without reconciliation. Path 2, confession creates opening for conversation about trying again, not immediately, not confession equals we're back together, but opening, willingness to explore. Curiosity about whether what was broken can be rebuilt. That path requires caution, requires addressing what went wrong before, requires them demonstrating change, not just expressing regret, requires both of you being different enough that old patterns don't just repeat. That path is valid if both people are genuinely different and willing to do work. Path 3. Confession creates confusion. You thought you were over it. Confession reveals you're not. Or you thought you wanted them back. Confession reveals actual person doesn't match fantasy you've been carrying. That confusion requires time, requires sorting, requires being honest that you don't know what you feel or want yet. That path is valid too. Not knowing is okay. Uncertainty is honest. Path 4. Confession makes things worse, opens wounds that were scarring, creates fresh pain, makes you angry at them for waiting, makes you angry at yourself for caring. That path requires boundaries, requires potentially saying, I appreciate your honesty, but I need you to not contact me while I process. Requires protecting yourself from being re-traumatized. That path is also valid. You're allowed to not be grateful for confession, allowed to wish they'd kept silent if silence was serving you better. The power is yours. It always has been. You are about to receive the confession you thought you would never have. And when it arrives, whether confession of feelings, mistake, truth, or regret, Your job is receiving it fully, feeling what you feel authentically, asking questions for clarity, taking time before deciding what it means, and being honest about what you want once you've processed, instead of responding from initial emotional reaction. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, trust yourself. And listen, confession arriving after you stopped expecting, it doesn't mean you have to respond the way you would have responded when you were still hoping for it. You're different now. Time changed you. Surviving without confession changed you. Building life without their honesty changed you. So when confession comes, respond from WHO you are now, not from who you were when you were desperate to hear it. Current you gets to decide, not past you, not the you who was waiting, current you who's been living. Trust that you. Trust what you feel now. Trust what you want now. Not what you used to feel, not what you used to want. Now, confession is coming. Be ready to receive it honestly. Then decide what it means from place of wisdom, not from place of old wounds. Take care, Virgo.